Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up early in the morning in some places. I know it's before the sun has come up in some places, and some places it's nighttime where you may be, but we are super excited that you came and joined. I am Sable, your bougie girlfriend, and we are going to be sharing some real life stories. I know at this particular time, so many of us are standing on like in the crossroads of trying to decide what is next. What should be the next chapter of our lives and where that should be. And that is why we know this conversation is so important. I don't know if anyone noticed this week, a report came out and said that the US passport has now dropped out of being the top 10, which means that it's requiring for us to go into other countries. Before we would just take our passport, show it, and we can walk in. And now more and more countries are demanding that we have a visa. And that is not necessarily a good thing. But you know what? That means that there is still opportunity for us to still travel and go places and check out places and decide where we want to go, where we want to spend the rest of our lives. But we don't have to necessarily sit back and think about it. Today, we are going to give you all the information. We're going to have stories, real life stuff. This is not stuff you're going to Google. You're not, ChatGPT is not going to tell you what it's like in Mexico. We got Carol here who's going to share that for you. We got Chris who's going to share what it's like to be a digital nomad. And we have Valerie who have lived all across Asia and who said goodbye. And when she hung up her diplomatic hat, realized that life outside of the US was a lot better than life inside. So we're just going to have some rapid fire questions. After we finish these questions, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask your questions, because I want at the end of this session that you will be able to make a decision. Is living abroad for you or not? Now, I know that perhaps you're thinking, well, I can't make that in the next 60 months. But how about you get a little, the next 60 minutes, but how about you get a little closer to that decision? How about you get a little closer of it's for me or it's not for me? Because what we are finding that is when we move abroad, we are no longer African-American women, we're just women. We are just women. No one's concerned about my skin tone. We are just absolutely. So if you're ready to, breathe a little bit better, just enjoy a little bit better, then this session is for you. And one of the things that we love to do, we're building our community of other people who are also making this decision. So you're not making this decision alone. The people that you're hearing from today have made this decision. And also daily, we are helping other people make this decision as well. And not only just help them make the decision, but step by step, taking this journey, because it's a journey that you can take alone, but you don't want to do it alone. You want to do it in community. It is so much better when you do it in community. So without other further ado, I'm going to get right in and start asking the questions, because I want to leave you time so you can ask your questions. And so these questions are just to help you understand and get a picture. So before I get into that, one more thing I want to say. How many of you are like, I've been thinking about this, I've been wondering about this, I'm just not really sure if this is me. So if that is you, if you're in that category, I want you to just drop in the chat. That's me. That is me. That you've been thinking about this, you've been wondering about this, but you're just kind of still thinking, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if this is me. All right, so Rachel's saying like, this is me. Yeah, you've been thinking about it. You're just wondering like, is this really me? Is this really Melanie, Shannon, Angel? Well, okay. That's where it starts with curiosity. In my own journey, yes, I have lived in, oh my gosh, I can't even remember how many countries and how many states. Wow. But what I have learned is that it wasn't always that I had a major plan that I was going. I was thinking about it and then I went. And then I actually moved. So when I moved to Nigeria, I knew I never wanted to raise children in this country. When I moved to Ethiopia, I had a great work opportunity. And I always knew that Panama was going to be my retirement place. And
Mm.
so it wasn't that, I went, I didn't have 15 relocation tours before I went. I didn't, right, because you can't make decisions on YouTube. You got to be on ground. You got to kind of taste and see, right? I don't know how many, I mean, I think most of the people in here, we've dated a little bit. And so most of us didn't look through a book, didn't look through a video and decide, yeah, this is my life partner is going to be. I think we kind of tasted a little bit. I'm not going to talk about how much we taste or what we taste, but we kind of found out a little bit that, yes, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. And so this is going to give you a taste of living abroad. All right, so I'm going to kick off my first question and I'm going to ask for you because these people have made major decisions in their lives. When did you know? What moment was it, either a loud call that said, "Oh, I got to get out of here," or a quiet nudge? But what was it for you? And we're going to start with Cal that said, "It is time to go." And so all their bios, you have them. So that's why we're going to jump right into asking questions. So if you need to know more, you can look at their bios.
Just want to say thank you for inviting me to this forum really quickly. It's really important conversation that needs to be happening more and more, I think. And the moment that it happened for me was both incremental and abrupt. It started off by just noticing things that weren't happening quite right? Like I noticed that we were working hard. We had found our dream home. We were remodeling our dream home in the middle of that. And in the middle of that, we looked at each other and went, yeah, this is a lot of energy. I don't want to spend the rest of this isn't something sustainable. But I also was noticing that my 20-something sons, my two sons who were in their 20s, weren't able to launch. I got an older son working for the local government, and he was making his salary. It took me later half of my career to make what he was making at that moment, and he couldn't find an apartment or a home to buy to start his life. And so here we are, a family of four, and the cat and the dog. And my husband and I couldn't retire, and our two sons couldn't launch. And so our needs were quite diverse, but we all desperately knew that what needed to happen could not happen there.
Wow. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are finding the same thing that where they're ready to retire, but that money that they have that's coming towards them is not enough to
Not
retire.
gonna do it.
And it's not because they weren't good savers, not because they don't have a pension, not because they didn't have a plan, but it just doesn't look possible. Chris, let's hear your story.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you again. Wait, I've got feedback. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
you have a little feedback. I think maybe mute one of your systems.
Let me see here.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Valerie while you're muting your system. So
Okay.
this is
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
It's recorded.
So
Okay,
my
now
story's
you're
a little,
echoing.
I'm echoing.
Okay, I think you're good now.
Okay. So my story's a little bit different. I was in grad school and I went to Sri Lanka for an internship. And when I was over there many moons ago, we don't have to talk about how long ago, but this was a long time ago. I didn't have kids yet. I wasn't married. And the experience like opened up my eyes that there was an entirely different world out there. Little bit different than ours in a way that I was out there in no man's land, and these people like accepted me. We were the same complexion. The whole village would come out when I would come. They'd touch my hair, but they would give me. They would anything. They would bring everything from their homes and they would share it with me. And the experience was so moving that I said, you know what? When I have a family, I would love for them to experience something like this. Because in the US, we're so materialistic and it's all about what we have and what our titles are. And I thought, oh my gosh, I would love for my kids, whenever I had them, to experience something totally different, that they grow up with some internal happiness and internal peace, because these people, literally, relatively speaking, had nothing. like living in one shack with an ice box, but they came out and they were giving and they were happy and they were loving. And I was like, I would love to do this. And then I became a diplomat and my first assignment was London, and that all went out the window. And my kids were living with, people who were going to safari and skiing, and their whole
Mm.
experience was not what I expected. So I ended up with a little bit of bougie children, but the idea was good. So um, I did I did get to live in London, Mexico City, Taipei, Shanghai, and ended up in Dubai and never
Yeah.
wanting to leave.
Yeah, I mean, so that's really great that you had that from such an early part. So Shannon is asking what countries you're in. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown. Carol is in Mexico. Chris is in Colombia. And Valerie is in Dubai. Okay, so Chris.
And you are in
Yeah.
Panama.
Oh, and I'm in
Yeah.
Panama. Thank you.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you all for having me. This has been a great experience, just, thinking through the questions and being prepared, for this conversation today. I was a military brat, so my first taste of living abroad was through my dad, an Army colonel, and we traveled around. I lived in 3 different countries and 7 different cities growing up. So I kind of knew what it was like to live abroad and kind of represent, being not only a Black American, but a military representative in certain different countries. And I guess for me, a lot of things like the quality of life really stood out for me in other countries. As Val pointed out, we have just focus on capitalism and buying and recreational buying and the easy monthly payment plan and all of that stuff. And it's just not that way in a lot of other countries. And it was um, for that reason, and also remembering exchange rates. When I lived in Germany as a kid, the German mark was 4 to the dollar. So, and now it's 1 to 1, basically, or a little less for the euro. So when your dollar goes 4 times as much, you're living life a little larger most times than what you may have experienced. So, and then a slap, kind of as a 62-year-old man realizing so many values conflicts that I had in the U.S., challenging religious values, human rights, the media and censorship, noticing that the story is told completely a different way in other countries. So that's when my sister said, "Run, Chris, run." And I ran. And my first stop, I'll end quickly, Sable. My first stop was Costa Rica, where, as Val pointed out, I just fit right in. And all of a sudden, I didn't have arthritis or stress. And I was swimming and in salt water, and um, just the welcome that I experienced in Costa Rica. I was there for a year. I moved on to Brazil, and we will talk about the limitations. I got in right before they changed the visa requirements. So I could only stay 6 months. I have to leave for a year before I can go back for 6 months. And now I'm in Colombia, where I've been for about a week or two. It's the most awesome. It gets better every country I go to. Big, huge mountains that I had not experienced in a while. A picture of my apartment is in the background. I couldn't show my live apartment because my bed is not made. I don't know if you guys can see the background, but that's a
Beautiful.
picture. I'm paying $30 a day, including Wi-Fi, electricity. I have a little kitchen in here. I have a washing machine in here. I have one of those showers that sprays you all over. And it's just been fabulous. It really is. I've never had white leather furniture in my life. So this was an Airbnb. This was an Airbnb selection. And then I'll recommend that you go off Airbnb, talk to your host, and have them let you pay them directly so that you both can save money by going off the Airbnb app. So I'll stop there, Sable. I'll keep going. Was I the one that said, "Hey, are we limited to 1 minute before before this?" So I just highly recommend it, you all. open your mind. Gosh, I just can think of only positives, particularly health-wise. Fresh fruit food, fresh Brazilian beef, fresh Colombian coffee, no
Mm.
hormones, no antibiotics, fresh squeezed juices, everything. And in Brazil, you divide by 6. And here I'm still trying to figure it out. It's like 1,000,000 pesos for $20, but it's always a pleasure. And if you guys have any questions for me, let me know. I have a little technical issues today, but enjoy being here. Thanks, Sable.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris. And Chris talked about so many reasons why when people move, some of the things you discover that you didn't even know, right? Like probably when most people are planning, they're not thinking like, oh, does that food have any artificial ingredients? You know, we go to the supermarket and we're like organic, non-organic. And so in a lot of countries, everything is organic. So automatically you will see a shift in your body, in how your skin looks, because the water and the food is just so different. And I just want to kind of touch on one thing about each person here is living on a different kind of permit and residency. And that's one of the things you have to think about. Like when you're going to another country, like Chris is a digital nomad, which just basically means you can live in some country for 10 months, a year. Each country has different requirements. And then other countries will give you residency. And it depends on how much money you have. They want to just see. But most countries, for the most part, if you have a way of making income or have income that would not be depending on generating income in their country, the door is wide open. There is a visa for you. So I'm in Panama on what they call the Pensamata visa, which is for the people who are old. And most of us here are probably going to collect some kind of pension. And if you're collecting any kind of pension, Social Security, they just want to know that you have some money coming in for the rest of your life, not your investments, because your investments could, go upside down. But if you have money that's going to go forever, they are like, come on, come on. It is so easy peasy. And the coolest thing about every store we go in, we get 25% to 30% off of things that we're buying, restaurants, bars, stores. So it's amazing how a lot of benefits, we think about when we say, oh, the rent is lower, but there's so many other costs that we don't think about. And so those are like the logistical parts of moving. We got to think about our visa, our shipping, our family, our costs. But there's an emotional part that a lot of times we don't talk about. And that is really a big part of why people don't even move, because they're thinking about all the people that they're leaving behind. Oh, I don't want to, I'm going to miss my grandchildren. Oh, what is my friends going to say? Oh, this is where all my family is. But you know what? Valerie just talked about how everybody was so welcoming. Because when you move, you just create a new family. So I want to hear from you when you move, because it is someone asking it in the thing, is it a new chapter? You get to have a whole new identity. You get to decide who you want to be. You get to rebirth yourself in this place. So when you move, what shifted for you emotionally when you decided, like this is where I want to be? Yeah, you packed your stuff, you put it in a truck, but emotionally, what shifted for you? And I'm gonna start with you, Valerie.
So that's a really interesting question because again, my story is a little bit different.
Right.
And well, it's a lot different, right? First African American woman to take the Foreign Service exam for the U.S. Department of Agriculture 20 some years ago, and always being the first everywhere I went. So I did get a lot of attention. I did, but being a diplomat, there, it has having the black passport has its benefits, but I think for me, my youngest child is on the line. She lives in Spain. She will never go back to the United States, ever. Like for us, being in Dubai, there is no utopia, there is no heaven. But being in Dubai is the closest I've been to it. And I've traveled over 70 countries. And to be someplace where safe. So right now I'm in the US, scared to death have had so many experiences. I was talking to someone yesterday. I was raised in New Jersey, and it was like being up south. You know, the racism was bad when I was growing up. And it was just the experience now to be able to put my shoulders down. When my plane lands in the UAE, it's a whole different scenario for me. I don't have to worry about one, like you said, it's a real melting pot. It's 90% expats, everybody speaks English. It's such an opening, loving experience. And I think the reason that Dubai is unique is because everybody's from somewhere else. So nobody has their grandmother, their uncle, their neighbors, the people they grew up with. We all bond because we have one another. And you talk about leaving people behind. My 24 years as a diplomat, I offered the world to everybody I knew. My friends, my family, people that I haven't talked to. I got a woman from that I knew in Mexico like 20 years ago who sent me a message the other day saying, I'm coming to Dubai. Everybody's coming to Dubai. I swear everybody comes to Dubai. They all do the flying dress. They all do the safari. Dubai is like the place. But I open up my house to everyone. I always have. And I think that for me, it has been a blessing to offer the world to everybody else. So everywhere that I've lived, I've been able to offer the world to everybody else. So I think the move for me was just staying in Dubai, not coming back to the United States was so easy, from security, being the second safest city in the world, to the fact that there's so much world. There's so much more than what we know. And there's so much more that we can offer everybody else that we love.
I love that. Yeah, the safeness, just walking down the street, knowing you're good. All right, I'm gonna jump to Carol.
Wow. I had waves of this. I think when we were on the plane coming in to finally stay, it was an overwhelming feeling of just like humility. I was just weeping because it was just so, the land, the people here in this are so kind and so welcoming. Like, you don't know how much of a weight it is to carry the racism and the hatred and the hardness and the toughness and the fastness and all the things until you don't have that weight, until you are relieved of that burden and are someplace and you feel like, this is amazing. And people are so kind. Like, you're talking about, like, you're not a Black woman. You're just a woman. I get stared at. My family gets stared at because we're tall. Mexicans are short. And so we get stared at because we're the tallest people in the room. Or we get taller because we're pretty big, that kind of thing. But never has anybody been rude, or, I mean, just the kindness. They will stop. I just have not seen that anywhere. And to watch and see almost kind of like how families gather around each other, how in the mall, the whole family's walking together, grandma, granddad, mom and dad, big kids holding their parents' hand. I mean, it's just that kind of loving, caring, the backbone of what makes family. It resonates with you. You feel that, and it does something to you, and it shifts. So immediately when we landed, I felt this sense of overwhelm. But then since I've been here now almost a year, it's been a sort of gradual, like you were talking about the shoulders coming down, a gradual shoulders coming down, like, oh, okay, this is really nice. Like, there's a park, and they do a beautiful job with parks. They have oregano and all kinds of wonderful things in the parks. It's just a beautiful, natural, calming place to be. And it's hard to describe, but it's a gift I wish you could give to everyone, because everyone deserves to be this calm, this happy, this healthy. And so,
And I think that the shoulders coming down is such a gradual thing because we've had them up for so long.
so long.
For so long, we always kind of been on the defensive, or we're just expecting a different kind of response in that situation. And when you see
Yes.
something different, or people respond to you differently, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I was, like always thinking like they're gonna try to get me. Somebody's trying to get me. And I
Right.
realized, no, someone's trying to help me.
Right.
Someone is just trying to help me. And I
Mhm.
remember living in Nigeria when people used to call me Igbo, like they used to call me white woman. I'm like, I'm not a white woman. Like, I'm telling you, nobody thinks that I'm white, but it just meant you're not Nigerian. That's what they were just basically saying. You're not Nigerian. And that's all that they cared about. They were like, so it is this sense of like, I can relax. I can relax. I can let my guard down because people are trying to, welcome you. What did you notice, Chris?
Wow, I'm over here crying. Thanks, Carol. Um,
You're welcome,
yeah,
anytime.
yeah, no, for me, it took, gosh, there's so much I'm thinking right now. Um, For me, I met an 85-year-old Black psychologist in Los Angeles. And it was around the time my mom and dad both died. You know, they, again, military background. We had these huge funerals at Arlington National Cemetery. Relatives came from all over, which was really, really amazing for me, but it was a huge transition. So after I stopped crying about my mom and dad passing away, you know, I started talking about the values conflicts I have in the US that were really, really weighing on me heavy. And, you know, not only the cost of the economy there, and but Jen, again, just values, you know, and sometimes religious values as well. I mean, you know, I'm a human rights advocate. I've been following what's going on in Israel, the war over there, and I'm finding some people with Christian backgrounds are, and I am, but I'm finding they are not gonna listen to me about, you know, talking down on Israel. So a lot of the press that you see when you leave the US, you start to realize, wow, all the 90% of the newscasters on CNN are Jewish, and Fox is what it is. And, you know, we're not seeing everything, and the story is being told in a completely different manner with other valid news organizations. So, I feel duped, you know, I feel lied to. I've been censored and called an anti-Semite. I'm not anti-Semitic, and Semites are broader ethnically and culturally than just the Jewish population. So even that word is offensive to me because it undermines the people who are Semites, you know, Lebanese and Somalians and gosh, I'm just losing my Palestinians, of course. So there was just so much that was incongruent. And then one of my neighbors of 30 years, after I was in Costa Rica, called the police on me and said I harassed her and she accused me of anti-Semitism. So I get this call in Costa Rica on the way to my surf lesson, and it's the police telling me that this woman has made these, and I've known her for 30 years. She was my neighbor for 30 years and a friend. And it made me realize just how bad and how low people can take it. And so anyway, that hit me hard. The more positive side is that I'm more in communication with my closest friends and family now than I've ever been, you know, through mechanisms like Zoom, through WhatsApp. You have to have WhatsApp. It's free. You can send unlimited pictures. You can do video. And back to Carol, my therapist told me, you know, play harder to get. And he made me delete 10 people at a time because I was the HR director and, you know, professionally. And my friends still call me and ask me to read their kids' college applications and expect me to help them find jobs in this climate. So he was like, wait, who's important? You know, so we went through 10 names every session, and I got through 71 names. And he said, let them call you. You know, you don't need, he goes, every time you come in here, you're talking about somebody else's problem. Let's talk about you.
And
So
I think
he
that's a
was,
good point, Chris, that we get
yeah.
to focus totally on us, right? When you
Yeah.
move away from everything. And that's one of the things we're always constantly saying around here is like, don't bring America with you. You move, don't bring America with you. So you are in like Dubai, Mexico, and Colombia. And we have heard so many stories about what's happening in those countries, right? You know, there's images that come to people's minds around, oh my gosh, cartels and drugs or Muslims or Arab nations. And so I just want to ask you to, I'm putting them all on the spot now, dispel any myth, like one myth. And Althea, I'm going to take your question right after we have one more question. And just if you could dispel like one one myth you would probably say that people, when they hear that you're living in Dubai or living in Colombia or living in Mexico, that you're like, what? No, I've never seen that. Now, I'll just kind of say for me in Panama, one myth is there's Black people walking up and down these streets. There are not, depends on where you live. So that was for me, like I was like, where they at? Where the Black people at? So so that was, something for me that I had to kind of like say, like, where are they? They're here. I'm just, I guess I just didn't land where they are. So what would you say in your community? What what's one thing that people think about when they come to you and you're like, no, that's not really true.
Well, for me,
For
everybody,
me,
for
go
me,
ahead.
Go ahead, Valerie.
when you say Dubai, when everybody comes to visit says, I have to cover up. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Dubai is in the Middle East, but it's not the Middle East. It's Miami, Vegas. The more naked you can be, the better off you are. Like it's a tourist destination. And I'm tickled that I watch all these people come in and they have to leave and I get to stay there. But the tighter, the bigger, the better, the looser. I mean, it is anything. And just to follow up with that, I'm a Christian, but I am dating a Muslim and in Dubai, and he is local, like born there and born in the palace in the UAE. And it is nothing. I'm not treated, he doesn't treat me. He treats me amazingly, actually better than, well, we won't go into that because that's a whole nother episode.
Another
But
show.
it's a whole nother episode. But it's nothing like what we've been taught, what we've heard. It's one of those things that you can't even trust what you see on Google. It's talking to people. It's having platforms like this. So thank you, Sable, for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Chris. You want to say the myth buster you got?
Yeah, I can stay focused on this question. I mean, I'm in Medellin and I grew up thinking the Medellin cartel and, the people that are getting murdered. And my friends were like, ooh, you're going to Medellin? Ooh. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to Medellin. And I literally focused on that without even looking at, videos, because there's always YouTube videos on any country you want to go to or travel to. But for me, it was landing here and realize I'm surrounded by mountains and that it's not about drugs here. And it's just so amazing how clean it is, the transportation. Uber outside of our country is $2 to $3 anywhere you want to go, mostly in Central and Latin America. Just another tip, make your Uber driver your chauffeur. Once you find one that you like, you end up telling him, hey, go pick up some stuff, text him on WhatsApp and tell him to go to the grocery store and bring you some stuff on the way to come to your house. So, people are here to serve you. It's just smiling faces. And for me, it's overwhelming. I was at beaches, in Brazil and in Colombia and in Costa Rica. To land in the mountains here, I'm overwhelmed. It's just the beauty and the friendliness of the people.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of a sudden you got a Uber driver who's your Instacart, your Uber driver, your chauffeur, all in one. So
Yeah,
Carol,
and
what
they
was
have
it? You're in
motorcycles.
Mexico. We always see the stories about Mexicans coming, the border going up. So what are you saying that no, that's not happening?
I talk to my friends and I say, because I don't see it. My community is so amazingly safe and kind and all the things I've just mentioned. But, it's like any other country, like if you're looking for it, and they'll tell you, if you're looking for the guns, if you're looking for the drugs, right here, right here, right here, knock yourself out. And if you're not, then the rest of the country is open to you, and it's not like you're going to trip over or they're coming to look for you. The recent story where they said they put a banner over a bridge and said that never happened. But you can't break through the noise of the media and the folks that are in the business of pushing propaganda. So you have to know what you make connections with people, and you get your system, your community And you trust that, you lean into that, and you understand, like, you know, even in the United States, there are just some places you don't go. I am from Chicago. I grew up like over in the wild side where, you know, the wild folks were. That was not who I am. That's where I have been. But if you really are looking for those things in the United States, it's the same problem. So when are you going to get to the place where you're able to look above what is being fed to you? And I think that the propaganda piece is what has given me a little bit of grieving, because I think about how much we always grew up thinking other countries give their people propaganda. We never think about us being fed constantly propaganda about who we are and and how great we are and better than everyone else in the rest of the world. That whole mindset is so off. And when you recognize it and you come down and you realize, like, okay, when I come here and we go to a restaurant, I've got 8-year-olds coming in speaking 3 different languages. Like, what's wrong with this picture? You know what I mean? Like, so are you really that great? And so we really have got to wash ourselves and rid ourselves of what we have been steeped in, and you don't even realize it until you work actively to set it aside and be intentional about, let me see what else I can do. I do want to speak to this idea of that it's too hard. It's not for everyone. Everyone is not going to need to get up and move out. Some people have a lot of struggles and issues, and that's understandable. And not to put any shade on people that want to stay or cannot leave. But I think everyone owes themselves the opportunity to entertain the notion of moving out of the country. There is something about that exercise that will bring you to a place of just shaking yourself and saying, realizing at least what you're dealing with and how much you have to work harder to actually rid yourself of the weight that you're carrying, the propaganda that you've been washed in, and recognize that outside of this place of the US, there is this whole nother worlds apart, and it's worth entertaining. And make the intentional choice to do it. If you go or not go, be intentional about it. Don't be active and not reactive. Choose to do whichever way you choose to go.
Hey,
Absolutely. I
Sable.
love that. Yeah.
Real quick. Yeah, just wanting to reiterate, and thanks, Carol, for all of that. It's just so amazing um, what you're sharing with us. Just wanted to reiterate the connection that you have with that handful of people, you will keep and be more actively involved with visually on the phone. I talk to my sister 3 times a day now on WhatsApp. It's free. She's on a cruise. I'm in Colombia. We're loving life right now, and it's just the connection that we keep through WhatsApp. Again, you can send as many pictures as you want. You can do video call. You can do voice email. I mean, I'm sorry, voice text. So yeah, you maintain that connection and you prioritize who you can connect to, because it's just so much easier once you start using the tools that are available to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Technology has really shrink, the communication gap. All right, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to start with Althea because she had her hand raised and has a question in the chat. So I'm going to let you decide, Althea. You can unmute yourself if you want to ask the question that you put in the chat, or if you have a different question, and if your question is directed to any particular person or to everyone.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Sable, for the invite. This is one of my first sessions with your community and the group, and I'm excited to be here. The other piece also is I'm open to hearing the perspective of what I'm hearing across everyone in the room here virtually. I did want to add a new perspective to this conversation, being that I am a Jamaican born who came to the United States and lived in the United States. And everything I'm hearing in the room today, I totally understand and I resonate. Now, I do want to add a perspective because the United States has its good, bad, and ugly, as with every country, including my own, Jamaica, where I'm from. But if you are looking to move to a new country, one of the things, and again, just expressing how I came from one country to the United States, I literally had to understand the culture. So it had nothing to do with, I guess, the propaganda. Propaganda is everywhere, right? It's everywhere. One of the things that I would like to say, coming from another country to the United States is not that easy. Leaving the United States to another country is a little easier. Here's why. You have the essence of money at your disposal that others technically do not when they come in, most likely here. So I do want to put that perspective into the equation. Everywhere you go in the world, it's not going to be got beautiful roses. There are beautiful parts of everywhere in the world. If you're looking to transition from the United States to another country, travel first. Go out and just travel. Get on the plane and go to another country and experience it. When you start to do that, your mind starts to open up, and now you're going to see the beautifulness of what Christopher, Val, and Sable and everyone else is sharing with you. Until you actually explore, you're not going to really know when and how to jump. And I think that's what I just wanted to add to this conversation. I love all the wonderfulness and give congratulations to all the courageous women and men here on the call who have taken that leap. But if you're going to do that jump and you're not sure, get on a plane and go somewhere. Just buy a ticket and go travel first. That will start to open your mind and eliminate some of the apprehension that you may experience in where to go, what to do, etc. So I just wanted to add that. I love this conversation, and I think it's wonderful. I think more individuals need to hear it. But there's a lot of beautifulness around the world. It's just a matter of, have you seen enough to then determine where you want to actually go? Thank you
Absolutely.
for
I
that,
think that
Sable.
is really important, the travel part, which is why for us in our community, we have 4 trips a year to different places to give people that opportunity to say, oh, I went here. And our trips are not about laying on the beach for the whole week, right? Because that's not going to give you an idea of what it's like to live in that country. But in our community, what we do is we allow people to come and see, go to the stores and see what shopping is like. See if you can get your edge control. See if they're going to have, your favorite spices, right? And then we kind of look at housing. What kind of housing? Because people, even before, they show you on the internet the most beautiful house, right? But is that the area or the town that you want to live in? And so that's one of the other things we give people an opportunity to do. And then we want you to discover how you're going to make money. Because some people are not ready to retire because they're still active. And some people also need to still be able to generate. So we love to be able to show people when you come on a relocation trip, when you're not just going to go to the beach and go to all the restaurants, because that's not what you're going to do on your everyday life. What you're going to do on your everyday life is what we want you to experience. And just like Althea said, so you can start learning the culture and then understanding if you even need to know the language, right? Because language, each one of you live in a country where there is another language. How important is that to living and surviving and being effective in that country? I've lived in Nigeria. They have 700 different languages, and I never learned a single language. I don't know if that's good or bad. I tried, but I never learned the language. So, coming into the countries, taking these trips is a great way for you to actually decide if, yeah, this is what I want to do. When you get off the plane, wow, I didn't know I was going to feel it. The air feels different. You can't see how the air feels. You can't see how the air smells. You can't get that in your living room. You can't get that watch. So I absolutely agree with out there. And my shameless plug would be, we're going for New Year's Eve. So come spend your New Year's Eve with us. All right, so let me see. I'll tell you more about that. Is there anyone else has a question? No more questions? Oh my gosh. Am I gonna have
I
to ask a
wanted,
question again? Go ahead,
hi,
Shannon.
Sable.
Shannon.
I wanted to know, is Dubai expensive? I'm in the USA, just for reference.
It's relative. So Dubai does not have to be expensive. I was a diplomat up until September, and now I'm retired. So I was living off of, thank you all for paying for my housing. I was living off of you and taxpayers' money. And I was living in the Ritz-Carlton for the last 5 years. And then it was like, oh no, I got to go pay my own rent. Oh no, I got to go see, like, I have to pay DWA. I didn't even know what DWA was, but that's actually electricity and everything. And then you had to know if it was chiller free or if you get air conditioning, all this stuff. But I was literally talking to my sister this morning about different apartments and like living in DC, and she was telling me for like a 1 bedroom in DC was like $4,000. And I've got a 2 bedroom with a balcony in Dubai across the street from the Ritz-Carlton for $3,000. So it's all relative. The food, you could go and spend $1,000 in a night easily, or you can go for 2 people and spend $18. So it's how you want to live, and living and understanding, like, there are locals. There is the other side of the tracks. There are places, the 24,000 restaurants in Dubai. 24,000. So there's something for everybody. So it's up to you. I used to shop at the stores from the UK, like Waitrose and Carrefour and Spinneys, and now I'm at West Zone. You make the adaptation to live the life that you can afford.
Absolutely.
Hey,
And
I
I
can
think
jump
it's
Sable.
for
in.
every country. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
In Mexico, we have a 4 bedroom, 3 bath condo, the office, and a casita, and all the things. Triple gated community, so you have to go through like different parts of the community to get in. $1,400 a month, USD.
Wow.
So
Hey,
it can be done. And if you're looking at the exchange rate, and if I hear people say, well, I have to save to do that. If you're taking that exchange rate right today, it's $18 to one. That's your savings. That's your savings right there. You start looking at what you have in your hand, and you go and explore, what can I do with what I have in my hand? It doesn't have to be much. In our heads, we think we have to have this big thing happening before we do. But take what you have and explore and find out for yourself just how you'll realize how doable it can really be in different places. So just so.
hey,
Kelly
Sable.
is asking where in Mexico
I am
are
in
you
Querétaro,
located?
which is in the central part of the state of this country. So I'm like on a mountaintop with a lot of mountains and all that. But yeah, it's very nice.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said. The name of the town.
Querétaro. I am horrible with rolling my R's. I'm working on.
Okay.
I have a little
Querétaro.
fancy restaurant we go to
Yeah.
every Friday night. We just practice with the waitress. And she's like, getting there. It's Querétaro.
Hey, I just wanted to add, Sable, real quickly. You talked about the communication thing, meaning learning the languages. So many people think they need to drop in here having studied the language. And for me, it's about technology again. Google Translate translates 100 some odd languages, and also links to your camera so it can read menus. When I go in the
Yes.
grocery store, I can turn it on and just kind of scan labels. Going into restaurants, sometimes, most of the time in the larger cities, they have English menus, but having conversations and using this app, getting close to a person is how you get to know them, and it could be your locals, it could be the person who is in your grocery store or your chauffeur slash Uber guy. It really makes it intimate and nice. So just wanted to point that out. Thanks.
You whip out your phone, they whip out their phone, and y'all have a great conversation back and forth.
Absolutely. It's really easy. Yeah.
Do you all
Oh, and for
recommend
housing.
using,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry, Christopher, do you all recommend using a relocation service or relocation coach? Because it seems so many details.
Yes, I do.
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's an option. I think you have also a lot of information at your fingertips. For me, the State Department travel warning for Colombia sounded like America to me. And I was just like, wow, and I'm not experiencing anything they said. So there are tools that you can use to research, but having a consultant is also a great, great opportunity as well.
I'm sitting in Dubai and I wish I had had one. So so, because I mean, my life has changed a lot, but just understanding what, just like I was telling you, like, do you get chiller free? Is it part of your rent? And the biggest thing for me was to find out that they prefer that you pay one check per year for rent. So I actually got mine to be 4 checks, but paying rent 3 months at a time, that's a thing. Like I
Wow.
had no idea because they don't do month to month. So those are things that it's the little things that you don't know that you need to know. So I say you should get some assistance, support, or a friend. Make friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My relocation guide they have been amazing. They turn out to be your friends. As we go to lunch together and we talk about everything else under the sun, but because there are so many moving parts. And for me, and having a family of 4, everybody's needs are different. And so it's really helpful to have someone kind of like walk you through, like, yeah, that looks good, but here's the other side of that story you might want to consider. So it's really helpful to have someone kind of know you from walking through when you land and just kind of move you like, oh, you're ready for the next phase? You're ready to go get your 3-year residency? Okay, you're ready to go get your senior car? You ready to get that bank account? Let's go do that. They're just amazing support when you feel vulnerable and alone. Sometimes you just kind of feel that way. Not that anyone's making you feel that way, but it's just a wonderful relief to know you can lean on them.
Absolutely. I would say there's so many things that you don't even know you don't know.
Yes.
And till you hit ground and you just, I mean, paying rent once a month, once a year, it was the same in Nigeria. We had to pay they quoted your rent annually. But who
Mhm.
talks about that, right? Who talks about the
Exactly.
cost? But there's a lot of logistics, but there's also a lot of emotional parts to it that really the support, to me, that where's the support is so much, right? That you really need, because as you're making decisions on money, or should I live here or should I live there, or sometimes you can decide on a place. I have a lot of questions. One of the questions that we get a lot in our community is around healthcare. Should I get healthcare? Should I not get healthcare? Right? Dating, right? Because our community is for Black women. And so the question is, what's the dating prospects, right? And you'll hear the whole gamut of responses to that. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people to date. Oh, there's no people to date. And they're all talking about the same city, right? So we get questions around that.
Exactly.
So, right, so it's totally a different experience. So I feel that having someone, and I'm a little biased, of course, because this is what our community does, but having someone who's already been there before, who, yeah, you can absolutely go to ChatGPT and say, I want to move to Colombia. What are the things I can do? And they're going to say, get a visa. These are places. It will give you a step-by-step plan. But when you get there, who's going to meet you at the airport? ChatGPT going to tell you, should I get an Uber? I'm like, how many people even knew there was Uber in different countries, right? How many people, is Uber the best way in some countries, or is there a local version of Uber in that country? So those are some of the things I think really the missing pieces. And also I cannot stress more, for me, the emotional part of the move, the emotional part that allows you to have someone to kind of like tap into that with you. When I moved to Nigeria, I was fine until we did our layover in Rome. And I was like, oh, shoot, what? And then it went away. By the time I got on my plane, it went away. But one day I was taking a swimming lesson, and the guy asked me to go to start doing the backstroke. And I leaned back and I broke down crying. And I could not stop crying. And nobody could understand like why I was crying. I didn't know why I was crying. But the newness of all those steps, you never know when it's going to hit you, how it's going to hit you, and what it's going to feel like. And so being in a community of other people who could have, I wish then I was in a community that could have said, oh, girl, that's because you did 1,000 new things and now your body is exhausted. And that's what it's responding to. I didn't have anybody to explain except for my girlfriend who started crying with me. She was crying. So we're crying, I'm crying, the swim teacher's asking, what's going on? He's trying to guess why I'm crying. He thought maybe the he was teaching me too fast or whatever. So, but when you're in a community of other people like, oh yeah, well, this would happen to me after being there for 3 months, or the day I landed, this is how I felt. And you realize, oh, these are normal feelings. And so I think those are some of the beauty of having a community and support as you are moving through this journey. And it's a journey. It doesn't stop when you arrive, as Carol said, right? Like she still meets with the people. So you need that A to Z. From the moment I'm thinking about it, someone helping you decide on what country is good for you. What's healthcare? What is important for you? Like what's important for me may not be important for you. Do I need to go to a country where dating is going to be really on and popping for me? Or do I need to go to a country where healthcare is going to be really great for me because I have conditions that I need specialists? Am I going to be able to get my medication in that country that I'm thinking about moving to? So we think about rent and costs and language, but there's all the other things. Who's going to do my hair when I get there, right? Like, who is going to do my hair? Because if you think because people are looking like you, they can do your hair. I've learned in Ethiopia, I went in that place and I looked at everyone's hair and I saw this woman come in and her hair was like in this tight afro. And I was like, yes, somebody got hair like me. Until they washed it, put it on rollers, and it came out in these big bouncy curls. So these are the kind of things you get an opportunity to learn. So I want to, for all of you who are really thinking about like what kind of support you would need, I want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to be in this community that we have formed. We formed a community of other Black women just like you who are thinking about it. These are women who are on the journey, who are on a journey to decide if living abroad is for me. And anytime in that journey, a person can say, this is not me, or I'm ready to leap. Like I'm not gonna go through, I don't have to do all the steps. I'm ready to go now. So I wanna introduce you to, our community is called hold on, my computer's, the Bougie BFF community, where we help Black women just like you walk step by step. And why does it make a difference? Because everything, as you heard here, is what you read is not necessarily what this country looks like. So we help you experience the destination. We help you move from thinking to reality. Because a lot of people are just overthinkers, right? That's just who we are. I move sight unseen, but to Panama, Nigeria, I have been there several times before I actually moved. Ethiopia, it was a cushiony move. So every move is different. So you need a community. And then this time you get to move with community. Even though everybody's not going to the same place, you always have someone to talk to about it because we have monthly meetings in our community. And so one of the things, so if you're thinking like, well, I'm not really sure, is this really for me? If you're thinking about it, a community is great for you to be a part of. If you're 40 and over, your needs are different than someone who's 20 and 25. They're trying to, sort out their careers. And so we talk about the things that really are important to us. And so what do? We go on quarterly trips. That was a tongue twister. And so we have our first trip is Panama. Our next trip is Dubai. And then I think the next one after that is Colombia. And so we're going to different places, so you get to choose where you want to go. But then we sit down and help you create a whole relocation plan. So is your plan for 2 years or 2 months, right? All of us are totally in different places. Maybe it's going to take you 2 years because you want to retire first, or maybe you want to wait till your children get out of college or get out of high school. So that's what we work on, a quarterly relocation plan. And we kind of say, this is what you need to be doing every quarter. And then we're going to give you income exposure opportunities. How are you going to make money? Do you need to continue to make money? Are you like, hey, I'm retired. This is rest and relaxation. Or you're saying, but you know what? I just want to make some money. So I met with someone yesterday, my lawyer, and he keeps saying, we're business partners, because he has all these business opportunities. He's like, hey, I need you, do you want to invest in a pharmacy? We're getting ready to open up in a pharmacy. Hey, there's real estate you can invest in. So maybe you're just an investor and you want to invest. And so we also have our experts in residence, because there's one thing to have the community and we're going step by step, but there's things that you're going to run into, international taxes. And one of the things that people are not thinking about, and I saw this question earlier, are you running away? You can't run away from everything, right? And so if you're thinking, I'm going to run away from my bill collectors, I'm going to run away from my debt, I don't need a credit score one of our clients has gotten stuck because of an IRS debt. So this is not running away. And so I think you want to think about how we have an international tax person who's going to help you understand the country where you're going to. Is it a double tax country? So making sure your taxes are in order. We also have in our community someone to help you with your finance so you can understand the difference between what you're spending now. And then we have someone to continuously support you with your mindset. So this is a sisterhood of women who are coming together all together. So if you're interested in joining, we're going to drop the link. Camille, if you could drop the link in the chat, if you want to be a part of our quarterly trips, if you want to be a part of our strategic planning, get somebody, experts to help. They're going to come in and give you education and sit with you. And you also get a consultation, get exposed to generating. And then we have videos, worksheets, templates, all in the membership site that you can do on your own. So if you're saying, hey, I need to figure out my budget right now, I can't wait till they get to the money month, that's all available to you. It's $99 a month, or you can pay in full, it's $9.97. Now, when you join, if you realize like, oh, 3 months in, I'm good, I got everything I needed and I'm ready to move, you don't have to stay for a year. You can stay in the community as long as you want or as short as you want. This membership is on a monthly basis because we are all on different places. We are all in different places. So I would love for you to join and be a part of our community. Camilla, if you can, I'll drop it in the chat. I don't think she dropped it in the chat. Let me drop it in the chat for you. Did you drop it? I can't see.
Yep.
Dropped it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you want to be a part of the community, come. I would love to have you. I would love to hold your hand step by step. I don't want you to have shockers when you get there. And, one of the things we do is we help you pick out what's the best country for you. I see a lot of people, I mean, yes, we have the list, the 10 best countries for Black women to live, but is that for you? Is that the country for you? Right? So that's one of the things you get to say. I want to say thank you so much. But before we go, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, any other questions you want to ask me, you want to ask about the membership, any questions you want to ask our panelists. I'm going to have our panelists give us one more word before they leave. But please, if you are in the crossroads, the things that you heard today, I'm pretty sure if you go put it in ChatGPT, tell me if you're going to get the same answer. Go ahead and Google it. Tell me if you're going to get the same answer. Put it in Claude if you want to. These are real life experiences, and that is so crucial to your move, to your decision to your decision, that is so crucial. Understanding step by step for you, not generic information, but for you. And that is one of the things that we really want to support you in. Carol's today is also offering consultations. This is a mind shift change. Someone said earlier about learning the culture. You are moving somewhere else. You don't take your American and try to drop it into their country and start to shift. But at the same time, you are who you are. We are who we are. We are who we are. And so therefore, it's great that you have that support. You have that support of moving. And even now, as you're in the valley of decision. So we're going to drop her information, the Mocha Cup, in the link. If you need a consultation she's offering that to you. We're dropping Valerie's information in her Instagram. Follow her as she's supporting Black women. And then Chris has his digital school, which he's offering to companies. But I want to say, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the edge, then I want you to make the step. Come, peek into the community, be a part of the conversation. And when you decide to leap or not to leap, you've done it from an informed place that makes sense for you. This is not a bandwagon. You can't do relocation because it's a bandwagon. 5.5 million Americans live outside the United States. But you know what? That works for them. Come and find out if it works for you. It's really important. So I'm going to ask everybody to give one last word just speak to the woman who is on the fence and to say, what would you say to her and to help her kind of make that decision? And I'm going to start. Let me start with Valerie, who just said, I'm not going back.
Ever.
Thank you, take me.
Ever. Well, thank you again, Sable, for this experience. This conversation can go on for days, for months, because there's just so much to share. I think for me, the advice that I would give to anyone would be that to really get the most out of this experience, if you're an introvert, it's time to turn your extrovert side on. It's not about moving to another country to be with Americans. It's about moving to another country to learn about the world, what's out there, to get to know new people, new cultures, step out of yourself, talk to people in the bathroom, just go out there and touch and feel and get to know what it's like to be out in the rest of the world. I think people lose themselves when they go and they look for the familiar and they go to the McDonald's when they get over to China. It's about tasting, touching, feeling. We have one life to live. Live it. Just go out and just do it.
I love that. Yes, don't go to McDonald's when you go outside. It's not going to be the same anyway. Carol.
I would say you owe it to yourself to break out of the molds that we have followed. We follow certain molds at a certain age. We do certain things, and we're supposed to do certain, and then we're supposed to sit down and wait for the next generation to come along and do what they do. There is so much gift in you, promise in you. God always has a next for our lives. As long as we are breathing, there's another next. And I promise you, I wanted to sit down in my dream home and I was good to go. And he said, no, this is a wall right here. No, this is a door. And so you owe it to yourself to go through that door, to explore not only what's out there, because sometimes we get so caught up into what we're leaving and what we're losing and what we're letting go of. We forget that it's not the letting go that we're focused on, it's the what we're coming to. And so be excited and amazed by take all of the shackles off your mind and the limitations that, you're a certain age or you're a certain caliber or you're a certain whatever, and go out and explore and see what is possible. I promise you, the only thing that you will have regret about is that you didn't know sooner. You didn't know earlier, that you didn't get a chance to entertain it, because even the exercise of entertaining it grows you. It makes you look at yourself in a different way. And introspection is important for growth. And so learning how to do that kind of introspection with the mind shackles off really allows you to grow in ways that you can't even imagine. And so whether that's to go or to not go, you owe it to yourself to at least explore.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna let the gentleman of the thing have one more
That-
word. Mm-hmm.
Okay. For me, you guys, it's about simplicity. I've lived the glitzy life, so a UAE would not really be my focus. I started in Costa Rica. I took surf lessons from a guy named Tarzan. I didn't wear underwear for a year. And it's just one of those things where you have to pick the lifestyle that you like. Outdoors. I started with outdoors mainly for health reasons. And like I said, I cured myself of arthritis. I don't need a knee replacement anymore,
Wow.
just in preparing. The other thing is relying on locals. Meet that old lady at the grocery store, meet that Uber driver or Didi or 99 or whatever the local version of that is. And, just if you feel comfortable with that person, use Google Translate and start a relationship, with some of the people that are around you that you need to know. And again, lastly, just stay in touch. With home, nobody's ever heard of Verizon International. Nobody's ever heard of AT&T International until you step out of the country and you realize the world is using WhatsApp for free. And you can still maintain those connections if you make them before you leave home, through Zoom or whatever you want to do, and just enjoy your life and realize, it's time to exhale and just enjoy. By the way, my apartment's $900 a month. $30 a day is how we arranged it here, and I book through the end of the year. So there's some great deals. I paid $3,000 a month in Navy Yard, DC, and now, and my condo fee was what, $700 a month in Atlanta. So the prices make it great for us. Lastly, don't overdo it. Really quickly, a lot of us fly overseas. We have so much money burning in our pocket, and we want to build a $500,000 house with 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, and realize that you've made a huge mistake. And also starting a business really quickly. That's the last thing. Some economies do not want us building businesses, and that's why they restrict our stays. We're competing with the local communities, the local culture, so we have to be really cautious and respectful about dropping in and buying up everything. So be careful there as well, and I'm sure Sable can guide you through that. You guys, thank you so much for having me, and good luck to you all.
Thank you. And I just saw Kelly's question, and I'm so sorry. So, if you have to drop off, I know it's a little after 9, but I do not want not to have her question answered. And so she asked a question about I have a 1-year-old. I would like to hear perspective on raising small young Black children abroad and maybe some things I need to know and think about it in preparation. And when I moved to Nigeria, I have 2 girls, they were 3 and 5, and they were actually my motivation for moving. I did not want to raise children in the United States. And when they left, I remember my youngest one saying about a couple of months in, Mommy, why is everybody here brown? Everybody here is brown. So she, it was so different for her because, in the United States, we have white and Black, and the particular neighborhood that we lived in was predominantly white. So now she was surrounded with all these brown people. But what it did for them was give them such a global perspective. The school they attended it was called the American Christian Academy. However, 97% of the students were not Americans. They were Lebanese, Indians, Israelis. And those were the predominant cultures, those 3 groups, the Israelis, the Lebanese, and the Indians. And then there were the Nigerians, and then everyone else, the mixture. And till today, my children are now 25 and 27. They are still friends with the people they went to school with, because a lot of them went back to their birth countries, but they still communicate and they're still friends. The beauty was the education was above it was rigorous because the Nigerian system was built basically on the British system. So it was very rigorous, but also they also, because it was an American school, got the American flavor of creativity, analytical thinking, which a lot of schools, like especially like in Britain, in China, and is very rote. Remember those things. It's more about remembering versus the analytical part of processing and creativity and innovation. So I think it's such a great experience. After they were there, we went to Ethiopia. They did a term in Ethiopia. But I would say if your child is 1, if you're taking school age children, do your homework on those schools. Do your homework. In Ethiopia, we did not have a great experience. We went to a school, they said it was English speaking. The teacher would teach, and in middle class, he would say, oh, I don't know that word in English, so I'm gonna say it in Amharic. So that just kind of left out my children to others. So do your homework on the schools. It's your children will learn a sense of respect. They will learn culture, that they learn another language. We have some friends here in Panama who brought their kids here, so now they're learning Spanish. It's remarkable. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Valerie, because I know your daughter was with you in Dubai.
So I raised 5 kids overseas. And when I lived in Mexico, actually, I had 5 kids in 5 different schools. But I personally think, when one of my middle son went back to the States when he was in middle school, and he's like, Mommy, I don't think I fit. And I was like, I'm so happy. Like, I don't want you to fit. And I don't want you to think the way American children think. You don't fit because you think so much greater. You have had experiences, you've traveled, you see the globe, and the US is not, we are just it. There's nothing else but us. And we're very much focused on we are it. So I personally think it was, I don't know, my daughter, who's not going to speak, she's my youngest, is on, but I think it was an amazing experience for my children. At least if I gave them nothing else, I gave them that foundation of knowing that it's not just about us. There's so much else out there for them to learn, to be curious about, to find out about, and to want to be a part of. And I think if nothing else, the rest of them are back here. She's not, baby. She's like never coming back. She's in school in Spain and looking to go to Norway maybe afterwards. That I think was the best gift that I could have given my children. It's not easy, of course, but shoot, it's so much better. And they had nannies overseas. That was good too. The fact that you could afford that, it's a whole nother life, right?
Another
'Cause
way.
right?
Yeah.
But to be able to give your children and yourself, that they were able to experience a lifestyle that none of their relatives or friends back at home could have ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that is such a really good point. Yes, didn't have to worry about babysitters, had nannies, cooks, drivers. All of those things are so affordable. But again, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to drop the chat. Please, I would love to have you in the community. And so these kind of the conversations we have on a monthly basis. We answer all your questions. We help you, guide you through your trip. You meet other women, and you'll see more information with us. And if you're like, I want to ready to touch my toe, come with us at the end of this year to Panama. I will send you the information where you can join us for New Year's Eve. Until then, thank you so much, and make sure you're living an elevated life.